Holy smokes, what are those white pads that I'm wearing in this video? Yes, those are CCM E-Flex 7s, and we'll have to talk about that in another video. So about a year and a half ago or so, I had my first ever coaching session with Coach Iris here. So in this video, I'm actually going to talk about, some of the struggles that I had during that first ever session versus how I feel now in this current one. And I really wanted to show that if you put the time and effort into like anything and you have a good support group and the resources to do so, what can you actually accomplish? In this case, how good can I get as a goaltender over a year with like proper training and things like that. Of course, I don't train like every day. I still have a regular job. I have 2 kids and family to take care of. So this is just a hobby, a side thing that I do. But I really hope that it inspires, any of you goalies out there who are a little bit older, who didn't really get a chance to train when they're younger. Give this stuff a try, see how you can push your body to the limits and see how good you can actually be, because it's actually pretty fun doing this stuff. But I also want to mention that, progress is not linear, and getting better at anything, it's going to be a long game. It's not going to be like a short-term fix. So there's a lot of things in here that I wish I was better at. I'm going to continue to work on things, and maybe a year from now we're going to do another review video and just see how far we've come. Anyway, let's jump into the drills. We're going to start off with some skating as usual. Alright, so we always start off our sessions with some skating. So one of the first things, my first ever lesson with Iris that I could not do at all was just simple C cuts. So fast forward a year later till now. Check this out. I'm actually doing C cuts. I'm kind of like whizzing around the rink. I'm doing single leg C cuts, double leg C cuts, forwards and backwards. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to do. Using that left leg, doing backwards ones is a little bit difficult. But even he was surprised. He was like, "Oh my God, you can actually do C cuts!" Because the first time we met, this was probably one of the things that I really wanted to work on and just try to get better at, like a really basic movement that I couldn't do before, but now I can do quite confidently. So for those of you who are having trouble doing this, a couple of things that I learned in order to do this properly was to actually use your heel when you're trying to move forward. So carve in with your heel to move forward, and as you're going backwards, you want to dig in with your toe. And the other thing that I struggled with was I was too wide after I did a C cut. So always push out to do your C cut, but then also gather and bring your legs back closer together so you can get more power afterwards. So that does mean overlapping those pads when you bring your legs back in together. Alright, so on to some movement drills. So this is another staple movement drill that I could not do at all the first time we met. So this is a real basic drill. You start off from your posts and you T-push to the middle, do a pivot, and then just T-push back to the other post and kind of repeat. So the thing with T-pushes, it's a very complex and difficult movement to do. It is not something that's easy to learn, especially if you did not grow up like skating using the correct muscles. I found that this is still something that I struggle with daily, but I think there is a lot of improvement because I could not do these a year ago, and here I am actually doing some T-pushes and stopping fairly decently. Still a little bit of wobble on that stop, still dragging that back foot a little bit weird that way, but definitely a huge improvement from over a year ago. So one tip that I can give when learning this, really you have to keep your legs engaged through the whole movement and don't pop your body upwards. So this does take a lot of like endurance and strength to do, and it's not a natural thing that you normally do every day. So you do have to build the endurance and strength to do these correctly. So I have a couple other videos where I kind of talk about some of the on ice strength drills that I do to kind of build this T-push power that I've kind of done, and it's really helped a lot. So definitely check those ones out if you need some help with that. But it is actually quite tiring doing T-pushes if it's something that you're not used to doing on a regular basis. So the next movement pattern, we're just going to push to, I think it's called the dot angle, so I don't really know what the heck that angle is called. And then just kind of shuffle to the middle and then push back to the post on the side there. So the weird long shuffle at the beginning kind of like always gets me. I don't really feel comfortable doing that yet, doing like a long shuffle, because I feel like my edge kind of digs in a little bit too deep when I tried to push that far. So it's, again, something that I'm trying to work on a little bit more. It's really tiring doing that first long shuffle because I don't think I'm using my muscles properly. But one tip when doing these kind of like newer drills is just take your time, rest when you need to. And I know, at least for me, when I start to do these new drills where I'm learning new techniques, I tend to like look at my feet or look down in the crease where I'm trying to get to. That's kind of cool to do for like a little bit when you're learning it, I think, but you do want to use landmarks like on the ice, like on the boards, as opposed to looking at the ground, because that does affect your balance as well too, and that's going to really affect how you move and do your shuffles and things like that. So pick a landmark on the boards and use that as a target, as opposed to like looking down on your feet. So before any shooting drills, we always, warm up our hands, glove side, blocker shots, and things like that. One thing that I'm still having trouble with is my blocker saves. So I do tend to kind of like punch out a little bit too much. So here the coach is just like kind of helping me identify like what to do properly, and that's to engage my wrist and just let it slightly roll outwards to redirect the puck. So kind of like redirecting the energy as opposed to like trying to punch it out. You can move your hand outwards more once it's redirected to follow the puck, but you really want to just slightly turn your wrist outwards to redirect the puck, ideally like into the corner of the boards, as opposed to punching it out like I have. Alright, so now on to the main event. The main drill we're doing here is an initial stick save to the corner, recover following that rebound, and then back to the top of the crease and just track the shooter for a shot. So first of all, watching this footage here, I am horrible at doing stick saves. Like, I have no idea how to do a proper stick save. I usually kind of just like whack at it or poke at it. I should have asked for like a refresher on stick saves before doing this drill. But you can see that I'm really struggling to like get pucks redirected into the corner. We'd done this drill about a year ago when we started training together, and I always had to remind myself to recover after the initial shot with a proper leg. So those of you out there who are doing something similar in terms of training, make sure that you get up with the proper backside leg. That way you can push to follow that rebound correctly. So one of the challenges I had this night was focusing on the puck and not just the shooter. So this is a habit that I'm trying to break, because I do it in games where I kind of follow the shooter and not the puck, and I just kind of get beat because I'm not square. It's even harder to focus. I find that I start to get a little bit more tired. As this drill goes on, I'm getting more and more gassed. And the more tired I get, the more difficult it is for me to focus on that puck. Now, if you've ever watched pros do drills like this, they make it seem like really, really easy. I can tell you that I am probably the fittest I've ever been at this old age, but I felt like puking partway through this. I was really tiring doing these drills, so much so that we had to kind of cut this drill a bit short, and I was like, I can't do it anymore. Let's just go back to some theory and learn how to do some plays behind the net. So kind of stopped a little bit early on this drill to kind of talk about behind the net plays. I really wanted to talk about was how to track plays behind the net. I wasn't really ever sure how to do it properly. The way that he explains it is actually really simple. So there's 4 zones that you have to really worry about. So zone 1 is being the post closest to you. The space between that post and the middle bar is zone 2, and then the other space on the other side is zone 3, and then zone 4 is the far post. So the way that you track the puck while it's behind the net is you obviously want to keep your eyes on the puck, so keeping your head turned and looking at the puck. We're starting from zone 1 on the post. When the puck moves behind the net, you just quickly shuffle to zone 2 as you're looking behind the net. And as it crosses over to zone 3 on the other side of the net, all you do is really just do a pivot, and then you kind of keep your head looking over your shoulder, and then as it kind of goes through the other side, you just do another shuffle to zone 4 or the far post. So that little pivot in the middle was something that I didn't really know before. Having it explained to me made it really clear of like just exactly what to do when the puck is behind the net. I did also ask, like, are there situations where you want to like be an RVH, you kind of slide across? You see a lot of beer league goalies doing that. He was saying that because we're playing kind of like lower level beer league, it's always best to just stay on your feet as much as possible. But I think it's like just do what's comfortable for you, as long as you're attached to that puck and your head's on a swivel and being able to see where the puck is, basically. So this is what we ended the session off with, just a little bit of theory, because I was just like way too tired to do any more drills. So that was the end of this session. I told Coach Iris that next time I come, I'll have more energy and make sure that I have like a coffee before we do drills, so I can actually like power through an entire drill and not cut short. Anyways, we will talk about the Flex 7 at some point on the channel, and we'll probably do one more training session before the fall, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys, and hope you guys are having a great summer. Take care.